My name is Miguel Angel Gonzalez, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make an intaglio print using plexiglass. This is how you want your prints to come out at the end, and this is what you're trying to avoid. For the materials, you will need a plexiglass, some watercolor paper to print on, and the one I have here is a 15 by 11. You will also need aqua ink. This one I'm using for this demonstration is black. You will also need some cotton to wipe off the excess ink off of the plate. You could also use butcher paper or newsprint, but I find the cotton to work better. A brayer to apply the ink onto the plate, and a workstation. To get the image you want onto the plexiglass, you can print out an image and trace it by placing it behind the plate and tracing over it with the needle tool, or you can go directly onto the plate and just scratch directly. For the workstation, it's better to use glass to put the ink on because it becomes easier to clean afterwards. Once you have your workstation ready, you can then put some ink onto the glass and then use the brayer to get some ink, and then you can start applying it onto the plate itself. Make sure to lift the brayer once in a while in order to get ink all around it. Once you have even ink around the brayer, you can then start applying it onto the plate. After applying the ink onto the plate, you can now remove the excess ink with the cotton. During the wiping process, you're removing the excess ink off of the plate, but all the markings you made with the needle tool will stay because it picks up the ink. Make sure to remove any excess fingerprints that you leave on the plate during the wiping process because they will show up during the print. Now it's time to set up the watercolor paper. For this process, you will need a station where you can wet the paper. You will need a spray bottle and a sponge. You're going to want to apply water onto the paper and then use the sponge to wipe off the excess water. Make sure not to leave any drops or big streaks of water because these will show up in the prints. It's better to wet both sides of the paper because if you don't, once you make your print and the paper dries, it will start curling to one side. For the first print, I'm going to show you what happens if you don't make a key for your print. Here I put the watercolor paper over the glass while having a key, so I'm not sure how the prints are going to turn out. When using the printing press, make sure to be careful with your fingers. This is how the print turned out since I didn't have a key. To make a key, you will need some butcher paper and a piece of watercolor paper to trace around. Once that's done, you then make a plexiglass key by placing it in the center of the other key. Now that I have my key, it's time to repeat the process. As you can see, the key helped me center the image onto the paper. For the last step, you set your watercolor paper somewhere for it to dry. Now it's time to clean up the workstation. Don't forget to save the unused ink, as you can use this in a later time. To get ink off of the glass, you will want to use a degreaser. Some final tips: if you want your print to come out darker, you wipe less, and vice versa, if you want it to come out lighter, you wipe more on the markings you made. Also, if you don't want your fingers to get dirty during the printing process, you can use some gloves. Thank you for watching.